Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's all going down now. Peacemaker. Latest episode. So, still liking this show, but boy, are they gearing up for a heck of a blowout finish. Spoiler warning, this far into a series, it's all gonna be spoilers. If you haven't seen the episode, then just I don't know. You're either here because you have seen the episode or because you don't care about spoilers. I'm still really digging this. This episode had a couple little ups and downs for me. I mean, it as far as its function overall, this is a what I tend to think of as a moving the pieces episode. It's not filler, it's necessary things, but it's not doing all that much on its own, and it's a lot more about setting things up for the next big thing. It's moving pieces on the chessboard before it actually makes its big move. And as that kind of episode, yeah, it works pretty decently. We get some background information on what's going on with Myrn, and there's some stuff then done with the other butterflies that is well executed, but I've still got but it's like a gut level thing. I'll get to that. I feel like Vigilante dipped back into annoyance for me on this one, especially given that last significant moment for him that stuck in my head was him coming out of the jail and being very much like, I screwed up. I really screwed up. And to see him not only show up again and be the buffoon, but to feel like he actually, it feels like episode 1 where he was grating on me a little bit, as opposed to feeling a little bit better developed and more like a character. Here, I think they just have a few too many times where he's just an idiot. So, I think one of moments he needs Peacemaker to repeat she's a cop because he hears it wrong, or keeps asking open-ended questions when they've only set up a system to talk to the butterfly with yes or no questions, or the thing that he does with Peacemaker's phone. Or later on, the thing with Eagly, to make the point of how stupid he is. It's too many. At least one, if not two of those needed to be trimmed down or dropped, because how many of them there are, individually, most of these are funny, but all in one episode, and now I'm remembering why he grated on me when he first showed up. So there's that. I think it just goes to prove, for Vigilante, at least for me, for him to work for me is a very fine line to walk. And whenever he steps off it, I notice. That's not to say that I'm writing off the character. I'm just, he didn't work for me as well. And I felt the need to examine why, because I'd kind of turned around on him. The scene in the classroom was better than I thought it would be, because I remembered that from the trailers, and I'd kind of forgotten about it because it felt like the kind of thing that would have happened early in the series, so it happening this late, I'm like, oh yeah, that was in the trailers. It was a little bit less, well, first of all, it was faster and snappier and a bit less cringe-focused than I thought it was going to be, and actually having a moment for Peacemaker of him being, when asked if he has an origin story, and just being like, and again, sort of seeing the weight that he carries, and not always very well. But there was what there wasn't. What I dreaded was dead space, where somebody says something awkward and cringy, and everyone's just like. It's the kind of moment where if it was a sitcom where the laugh track would be going ooh, and I hate those pauses, and this didn't have them. It kept it short and snappy, and that helped. So that scene went down heck of a lot better than I thought it was going to. So the thing that I'm a bit mixed on. Well, I'm not really mixed. It works. But like I said, there's a gut level ugh. So when the cop, got hit with the butterfly, and especially at this point, it having been acknowledged by Myrn in so many words that the host is dead. The host's knowledge and background, and possibly even certain aspects of their personality, are still present, and that's something that the butterfly is aware of, but for all intents and purposes, the host is dead. So when that happened, my first immediate thought was, oh, I really liked her. And that feeling doesn't go away. But here's what I want to acknowledge. I feel like 99% of shows doing something like that, it would have felt to me like a waste, or it would have felt needlessly cruel, or just disrespectful of the character. And I don't feel that way here because, first of all, I think the character was built up enough that the show seems to recognize the loss that just happened. That's one thing. And the other thing is, it's not gratuitous. It does actually have narrative function, as does the taking over the rest of the cops. So with her, it basically proves that Goff, the butterfly that Peacemaker had in the jar and had started to communicate with, and who was there to kind of muddy the waters. Are they bad guys or not? Now, we'd already had in this episode Myrn be like, no, they are the bad ones. I'm trying to stop them. And while we are given some credible reasons to believe him, it's such as characters pointing it flat out, like his actions make no sense if he's lying about this. And while that is true, that isn't the strongest case when we started to see Peacemaker bond with this other one who, like, maybe they're bad, but seems to be trying to reach out. Who knows? However, having that butterfly immediately jam itself into Sophie's mouth and kill her, that does a very effective job of making it clear, oh no, definitely bad. So it removes the ambiguity, which if it's going for an all-out action, everyone's gonna go crazy, this is gonna be a bloody massacre kind of finale, having clear-cut distinctions of who is or isn't the villains is generally a good thing to have in that kind of scenario, unless you're really looking to do a massive rug pull on your audience. Which, I'm not going to say James Gunn is above doing that, but I don't think that's where this is going. So it does firmly answer the question, is this one good? Is Myrn maybe the bad one? Like, oh, well, okay, look, maybe we still have questions about Myrn, but like this one, definitely bad. And again, re-solidified by summoning all the other butterflies and then going to the police station. And again, ending up taking some characters who I liked, like Sophie's partner, whose name now escapes me. I liked him too. I didn't like seeing him die. But again, that not only further shores up this entire force being bad, but in addition to that, it's going to very clearly visually code the villain factions, because now all the butterflies are cops or inmates from that police station. Now, they're not the only section of bad guys, because now we've also got the White Dragon and all of his people. And actually, this is a small touch, but I really I need to explain it. I really appreciate that the woman that the White Dragon has sex with before they all start gearing up puts on the hood that is the thing that these foot soldiers wear. It's evocative of the Ku Klux Klan, but it's low rent because it looks like just a pillowcase, a slightly modded pillowcase. But I really appreciated her doing that, because otherwise there would have been room to interpret that like she was just a prostitute, and it would have annoyed me if the implication was hanging there like they'll just sleep with anyone. They don't have standards. They don't vet their clients, because they do. So establishing that, no, she slept with him because she's actually an active part of that group, I appreciate it. So it removed that possible reading of that character. And I know I just spent like a minute and a half or so talking about an unnamed naked woman in this show. It was still just a small touch. I appreciate it. Not sure that the nudity was necessary, but that is kind of the vibe of the show overall. So my original point, though, was we now have clearly visually distinct factions. There's our heroes who are not in any kind of uniform, but we know them as individual characters. So we'll be able to pick them out in a melee, insane, and over-the-top scenario. And we have a very clear visual distinction for the White Dragon and his followers. And now we have clear visual coding of cops and or inmates for the butterflies. This, again, is setting up for something to go down all out. And I won't be surprised if the White Dragon ends up being at some point helpful, if for no other reason than, like, I have to imagine that helmet he's got probably would do a good job of keeping a butterfly from getting into his mouth. So I have a feeling he's going to end up being useful. I don't think the show is going to try and redeem him, because just the fact that he set out at the start of this, I'm going to kill my son. I'm like, oh yeah, total bastard, not redeemable. Doesn't mean that narratively he has no use, or that tactically for the characters he has no use. He might still. We'll see. But yeah, things are going to go down soon. And oh, Eagly. Eagly is, first of all, Eagly is badass, and then Eagly is brutal. Like, best animal sidekick ever. I'm sorry, Crypto. Eagly's cooler. I know you could beat him in a fight, but Eagly is cooler than you. So I dug the heck out of that. I think I don't have too much else to say, because as I said, like, this is largely a getting pieces in place for what comes next kind of episode. And yeah, it does that decently. I'm still nervous about Adebayo's wife either turning out to be a butterfly or becoming a casualty or otherwise getting fridged, but they still haven't yet. So maybe they won't. That'd be nice. It'd be nice for, at the end of all this, she gets to go home to her wife and get away from all this. I'd really like that, because while it's not a bad narrative, I am kind of tired of the persistence of, you can never escape this kind of life. You can never escape this kind of work. You're always going to have to do this. That's kind of in the background of a lot of stories where characters go through these really traumatic and intense, heightened circumstances in superhero or action settings. I'm like, can somebody get to go home? I get, like, we don't want necessarily the lead character to just go home and hang it up, because then we have no more of that show. But, like, can somebody get to walk away and be happy at the end of it to the best of their ability? I kind of want that for them. I don't know if I'll get it, but I'm going to hope for it. Peacemaker. What'd you think of this one? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Like, share, subscribe. Patreon. It's how I pay my bills. It's how you can support what I do. But there's also links to other things I do as well. Twitch and TikTok and books that I have for sale, etc., etc. But don't worry too much about it. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. Thanks for sticking around into the credits. None of this would have been possible without my Patreon supporters in particular. I want to thank Robin Powell, Tracy Scrabbit, Vincent Paul Bartolucci, Robin Moore, Shayla Gourlay, and Bookworm. Thanks for keeping this going. And to everybody,